Hello, good morning, Pankhurst, and welcome to your third Talk for Writing lesson this week. So before I get into the lesson, I just want to do a quick recap on what we did yesterday and the day before. So for Tuesday, you should have looked at relative clauses and learned how to put relative clauses in your sentences to make them longer. Then you should have learned that a relative clause cannot be a standalone sentence by itself because it doesn't make sense. And on Monday, you should have practiced your text map and then written it out. So you should have written out exactly what your text map says. And at the same time, you should have done the actions. So today, your learning objective is, can I extend my sentences by using a subordinate clause? Today, we are going to make our sentences more complex and interesting by adding in a subordinate clause. Okay, as a reminder, a main clause is a simple sentence that can stand alone. So which means it's a simple sentence that makes sense by itself. Okay, it includes a subject and a verb. For example, the subject is the person or the animal. Okay, and the verb is what they do. Okay. Now, a subordinate clause cannot stand on its own, and it relies on the main clause in order to make sense. So just like the relative clause, okay, a subordinate clause does not make sense by itself. It needs to be put in with the main clause, okay? They don't give a new point, so the information given should be linked. So it's not a new sentence or anything new. It is an extended part of the sentence which just gives more information on your main clause. You need to use one of these subordinating conjunctions. So over here, you have subordinating conjunctions, and they are if, since, as, when, although, while, after, before, until, and because. So we can extend our sentence by adding a subordinate clause. So if you look at my sentence here, the main clause, which is a sentence that makes sense by itself, is Ella works hard at school. Then I've added my subordinate clause to add more information to this sentence. And then it carries on to say, when there are no distractions. Now, when I've written when there are no distractions, that extra bit of the that subordinate clause is linked to the main clause, so it needs to make sense and add more information to it. So I'm just going to read the whole sentence to you again. Ella works hard at school when there are no distractions. Subordinate clauses can also go at the start of sentences. When this happens, the whole subordinate clause moves to the front and is followed by a comma. So subordinate clauses can also be at the start of a sentence, but even if they are used at the start of a sentence, they still make no sense by themselves. Okay, so when you use a subordinate clause at the beginning of your sentence, you need to make sure that you've used a comma after it. So if you look here, I've got a comma here after my subordinate clause, and then it goes on to my main clause. So when there are no distractions, comma, Ella works hard at school. To help us remember what conjunctions we can use, let's use the acronym. I saw a wobbub. Okay, so now the way to remember your conjunctions, subordinate clause conjunctions, you can use this little acronym, and it says I saw a wobbub. Okay, I is for if, S is for since, A is for as, W is for when, A is for although, W is for while, A is for after, B is for before, U is for until, and B is for because. So if you all say this after me, we'll do my turn, then your turn. I saw a wobbub. I saw a wobbub. I saw a wobbub. Fantastic. If you can just pause the screen here and just discuss with your adult or your sibling or with your teddy what the subordinate clause conjunctions are. And then when you are ready, come back to my video. Now we're going to do some examples, okay? Let's extend this main clause by adding a subordinate clause. So before you get into it, can you please get your mini whiteboards and pens? If you do not have a mini whiteboard, then please get a piece of paper and a pencil and extend this. So let's extend this main clause by adding a subordinate clause. Okay, now let's see. Laura smiled because she was having fun. Okay, Laura smiled, and then we use this. Then we use the conjunction because she was having fun. Now, my next sentence is, my cat meowed at the front door. And what I would like you to do is pause the video now, pick a word, and turn it into a subordinate clause. So when you are ready, please come back to my video. Okay, so my example is, my cat meowed at the front door as he could be let in. Okay, now let's try this one. Miss Amanpour said we could play outside. I would like you to pick a conjunction and extend this sentence by using a subordinate clause. Pause the video and do that now. And when you're ready, come back. Now, Miss Amanpour said we could play outside when it had stopped raining. So the conjunction here is when, and the subordinate clause is when it had stopped raining. Now, the next sentence is, Miss Gossage said we listen to music. Pause the video and extend that sentence using a subordinate clause. And when you are ready, come back to the video. Miss Gossage said we can listen to music while we do our work. Okay, so this conjunction is while, and the subordinate clause is while we do our work. Now it's your turn. Pick an activity to complete. Please make sure you choose the appropriate activity for you. Now, activity 1 says, write out the sentences and put the correct subordinating conjunction in the blanks. So you have 4 sentences here, and you choose the correct conjunction to complete the sentence. So you fill in the blanks. So for example, the first one says, I will finish my work. I eat my dinner. I will finish my homework. I eat my dinner. Which word do you think fits the best in this sentence? Fantastic, it's after. I will finish my homework after I eat my dinner. Okay. Activity 2. I want you to fix my boring sentences by making them interesting. Please add in a subordinate clause. So I have sentences here which are quite boring. Okay, and you just need to extend them by adding in a subordinate clause. So for example, it says I will make, sentence number 2 says I will make a cake. Yeah, so you could say I will make a cake because it is my sister's birthday. Full stop. Fantastic. And then you have an extension, and your extension is to write your own sentences that include a subordinate clause. Okay, so for example, a sentence I could have is Mrs. Naima made a stir fry because it was nearly dinner time, full stop. Okay, now remember, pick an activity that is appropriate for you, and then pause on that part of the video that shows your activity. Okay, yes. Year 3. I'm looking forward to seeing your work on tapestry. Well done. See you in your next video.